morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. I am Lori Monaco, the Badass Buddha. I am trying to get myself on here. Oh, once again, hold on. We're not on Facebook. Oh, God, this is so annoying that it does this. So give us a momento.
Uno momento.
Right. Let me fix this. And that should get us on. So good morning to Evelyn on YouTube. That was on and ready to go before we started. Now we are on Facebook. So good morning, everyone. I am the badass Buddha, Lori Monaco, and happy Tuesday. We hope you had an absolutely fabulous weekend. It is the last week of September, so it is the last week of our gratitude month. So let's make it count, and welcome to Where Are You? That is our topic for today, which is very intriguing. So good morning, and good morning, Gladiator Guru.
Good morning, mi gente. 3 times the glam. As soon as I came on, she's like, Evelyn is waiting. So thank you, Miggy. How are you? Listen, doesn't the badass Buddha look beautiful today? I mean, it's
what happens when I put some effort into my hair.
It's the hair, it's the jewelry. Absolutely love it. Your boobs look very perky this morning. Hello, mi gente. I am La Margarita, your gladiator guru. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I had a very, hello, Tiffany Bryan. Since Friday, the devil's been on my back, but it was a struggle. But then you just got to say, am I going to be angry, or am I just going to pray and trust the process? Because me twisting up like a salty pretzel wasn't going to solve anything. So I hope everybody had a great weekend, because I eventually did. And it's always, you know what? It's always when you're forced into battle that the outcome is brilliant. Don't forget that. And yes, I can't wait to talk about today's subject.
I love that. So say that again. It's always when you're forced into battle that the outcome is brilliant.
That it ends up being brilliant. It comes out, the outcome is brilliant. You know why? Because whether you prepared or you're forced into battle, your natural instinct is to fight. So learn how to fight for your betterment, not to win, but to be present and fight for what is right. And if you're the only one fighting, guess what? You're the only one who got to fight for you. So battle beautifully, mi gente.
I like your babushka this morning. That's really, really pretty.
Thank you. This is one of my Pashima scarves. So it's really huge. And the thing is, my hair is already growing. You see my bang? Look.
I see.
My hair is already growing. And I wanted to, because, when I came from Florida, I brought the minimal. So I didn't bring, my jewelry, all of my gaudy jewelry. And I'm just not in a place nor a want to purchase, because I'm gonna get always similar stuff, because I like the big gaudy stuff. So I don't have anything. So I said, let me dress this up. You dress what you can.
Yeah, I hear you. It's like you don't want to buy, like, why buy it again when you're just going to repeat? That's when I was down for the summer. I brought minimal things with me, like minimal clothes. I bought like one necklace, or brought one necklace, and I ended up buying like one other necklace while I was down there that was a little different than what I had. But the thing is that it's the same kind of concept. It's like I could sit there and say, you know what, let me buy all this, but push comes to shove, I'm not going to be able to. I mean, I'm just going to repeat. So why bother? My sister's on. Good morning, Leanne.
Good morning, Leanne. Let me tell you, for anybody who's known me for over 10 years know, I mean, when I worked at the phone company, I remember I used to wear like 10 different pearls at a time with whatever outfit. I worked in customer service, and it's always been like that. And when I went into self-isolation, I purged so much that when I came out of isolation, I'm like, what the fuck? I have nothing, nada. Where's my favorite go-to? But I didn't die. I didn't stop breathing. I didn't starve. I got rid of shit that I liked. And so the jewelry played a big role. So I got rid of some tangled stuff, but a lot of it, I just put it in a cute little pink bag and I hid it. And then I started as you notice, towards the end of summer, I started wearing them again, my big red ones and everything, because I don't want to purge everything. But you know, when we become extremists, when we want to change and we want to do something, so it's good that if you're in that indecisive mode, put it to the side. And when you're on the other side, then you can decide. Because I did end up purging more on the other side, but it wasn't the jewelry. So, you know.
That's a good point, and I agree with you, because since I've been packing and moving, of course, that's when you really want to purge. So that's where you're. I know you've been in that space before, but that is actually really good advice, because if you don't know, you know that expression that says, "Well, if you haven't used it in like 3 years, then get rid of it." I agree with it, but I don't agree with it, because sometimes you pack something away and you forgot you had it, and then all of a sudden you like rediscover it, or you find a use for it, right? So like I had purchased a whole bunch of stuff from Bed Bath and Beyond when it was going out of business here in Shelton, and I bought them, and I bought multiple things, because I said, when I have my own kitchen, I'll be able to use that, but I don't have any use for it right now, because we don't have it, it's not going to work where I'm currently living. And I kept it. And literally they were sitting in boxes for 3 years, and I was able to actually put them to use over the summer in the new house, you know. And the other problem with throwing out too much is I actually threw out some stuff that I didn't mean to throw out. Like
never fails.
No, and I knew this. I figured this out when we were packing everything up in the house in Tennessee, because we had to have we were going to do the floors. We had to like shove everything in closets. So I was going through stuff, and I was deciding what stays in the house and what goes into the barn. And I know what I brought over there, because I had just shoved everything in a corner and just packed it into the U-Haul, and I didn't even really know fully what I brought. So I started going through stuff. Then when I came back, like in my head, I'm going, oh, I know then this is missing and this is missing. So it must be at the house, you know, in Connecticut. When I came back and I started to repack stuff and put it all back in a spot in the garage to get it ready for the next big move, I couldn't find some stuff. And I was like, holy crap. And the only thing I could think of is I started transferring stuff from like bins and boxes. Some of them I put in plastic bags, because it was easier to store, and I needed the bins for other things that I couldn't put in any type of bag. And I think I threw some of that stuff out. Like, I think I must have because I kept moving things. And there was like a whole bunch of things that I think I tossed in the garbage. And and it's one of those things where I'm just so angry, but at the same time, there's nothing I could do about it. But so that's why you have to be careful when you're purging. You also have to be very aware. Like, do that. Say, yes, I definitely don't need this. No, let me hold on to this and see how I feel about this in a little, and then give yourself the timeline. And then the other stuff is, no, I definitely want this. Sometimes you get such on a like, I've got to purge. Like it's almost like you feel it deep down in your soul, like you got to get rid of all this stuff, because it represents a part of you that you no longer want to have, and it no longer serves you. But like I said, you do have to be careful, because you might end up throwing stuff out. And who knows, maybe what I threw out, like, wasn't meant to be anyway, which, you know, you could look at it that way. But there's a couple of things that I absolutely cannot find. And I'm like, I really didn't want to throw those out. Like, so I was that hit me over the last, like, since I got back, and I was worried that, and over the last like 3 to 4 weeks, I realized, yeah, it's nowhere. Like, cause I know exactly what was left in Tennessee, and it wasn't there. So purging is good. And
you know, it is. And sometimes our biggest enemy, which is our thoughts, sometimes Hola Milagro would tell us to hold on to something, and it just takes space. So you explained that very well. Thank you. Because at one point I felt guilty. Like, I got rid of all of that. And then at other points I was like, why didn't I just blindly throw everything the hell out? So yeah, you got to take a breath. You got to step back. You got to go. If you were in Tennessee, then you came back, and then I think you were more aware, more present when you were sorting the second time around. correct?
Yes. Yeah. I think the first time around, I wanted to get rid of everything. And like, even like there was furniture that I just either sold really cheap or got rid of. And then after the fact, I thought to myself, I really actually could have used that. Like, why did I get rid of that? But again, you just have to say it is what it is. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. So anyway, so good morning, everyone. We're on the last week of gratitude, but so Gladiator Guru and I did our planning for October, November, and December. Like, we planned for the entire rest of the year, and we updated everything, and it is going to be an absolutely fabulous last 3 months of the year. So get ready, because what we had said this all along when we started this venture this year, we said that we're going to coach you and coach ourselves. And then at the last quarter of that year, we were going to review everything and really knock it out of the park, so that we don't start the new year off right. We end this year off right. And then we start the new year like way up there already. So this is the do all end all. We have October, November, December, and we are going to blast it out. And we want you to really step up with us. And anything that you need to review, go back to the previous conversations, share it with other people, let people know that, hey, listen, I know you might not have been on this whole year, but just you could catch up and really, really make it count, so that you're not, like I said, you're not just starting the year off right. You're starting it higher than you ever thought you would be able to do.
I think we're gonna holding on to I think everything we've been teaching since the beginning of January, it's about discovering the wonders of yourself. You can ask anyone a random question of, what are the 8 wonders of the world? What is Italy's what's the dessert best known for in Italy, in France? Where do the potatoes grow the best? It's either Scotland or England. I don't know. They don't have really much of a menu. So you go on and you can ask random people what president was the 16th president, the 27th president, and many will know. But then you ask them something about themselves, and they don't got time for it, or they don't know. And I'm tired, I'm working, I'm this, I'm that. And so when you hold on to stuff, what really can you identify the why you're holding on to a piece of material shit? Good morning, Chanel. Like, so, and it's a question I asked myself when I was purging. But I went overboard, because now I just have some Converse, different types of Converse, and one pair open toe sandals. That's it. I don't have no closed toe shoes, no nothing. So that I have to rebuy now, especially if I'm going to be here in Connecticut. But then guess what? I get to celebrate myself and treat myself to a brand new pair of boots. So What if I had a good pair the last 2 years and they were still looking good? You know what? Sometimes you got to reward yourself for standing in the rain and coming in without so much as a cough. So I think that when we know so much outside of us, we really got to sit down and question, what are we made of? And when we do that, then we can answer all the outside questions, and we can decide with discernment, be very much making decisions based on our discernments throughout our day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year. Because what today's subject is going to be about, it everything since January, badass, has it not been about you becoming one of the wonders of the world? Because you are the world within yourself. And you have to learn to look at yourself with such wonder that any negative vibes you receive from outside of you, whether it's your lover or your enemy, because sometimes we get them twisted. A cruel word is a cruel word. It doesn't matter who it's coming from. But when they shoot that arrow filled with venom, are you going to stand there like a deer in headlights, or are you going to move away? Because that doesn't affect you. you receiving that
or you do this like Wonder Woman.
That you receiving that negativity from someone else, whether it's your love or your enemy, it's still you accepting that into your life.
And it goes both ways. It goes both ways because you could be dodging the venom, but you can also be producing the venom. And the whole point is that if you're having to dodge the venom, the question is why are you allowing people to throw that venom at you? Then the other question is, if you're producing the venom, what is it that you have not let go of that is making you spew that out? And that's the whole point of all of this. You know, the whole point for this year was for us to come to terms with who we are and the direction that we're going or not going, and then own it. You know, so this was a work in progress for some of you. I know this was definitely for me, but for some of you, it was there was so much growth, and there was so much, like, there's no point in regret, you know, whatever you do or say. It's just to learn from, you know, and then you question yourself and ask, you know, is that the person that I'm choosing to be? Is that an old behavior or is that a new behavior? Because sometimes the new behaviors can also be tough too, you know, where you're standing up for yourself, where you were a pushover, and you can say, oh, well, I don't know, you know, that's kind of tough. But ask yourself, is that what you want to be? If you say, no, I do want to be tougher, then you were right on track. Don't apologize for doing or saying, but own it. That's just it, and learn from it. You know, my big thing for this year for me has been coming to terms with the fact that I was getting triggered, and if I'm getting triggered, that means I haven't gotten over it yet. That means that I have not dealt with things, and it was a bitter pill to swallow, because you want to say to yourself that you did, but then you have to admit to yourself that I haven't. So what will it take for me to get past that next stage? What will it take for me to not just dodge the venom and not hate the people or dislike the people or the situations, but just let them be who they are or what it is, but not participate in it? There's such a difference, you know, and then you won't have to dodge anything because you won't be a part of it. But at the same time, if I'm creating the venom, then I have to work on myself more to say, okay, I don't want to create the venom either. So that means that I'm participating in that. So if I'm not participating in that, then there's no reason for me to be venomous.
Okay. That's a good thing, but we got to ask ourselves, if we are being triggered by something we have refused to let go, we're not receiving venom from nobody. They are who they set out to be.
Yes,
we perceive
ourselves
that they were going to change. We perceive that now I'm different, so they're going to look at me different, and the boundaries are going to be built. So it was all a fantasy role play in our own heads. And now, because they are not who we perceive them to be, with all the efforts we put forth, now we're angry again. We're angry, but we're angry at ourselves, because shame on you for expecting all of this, and the person is who they really are. And now not you, badass, but you are out there saying, they have triggered me, and it just made me realize blah, blah, blah. But why have they triggered you? They have been the same. They might have said something slick out their mouth, but you were waiting for that slickness to absorb it and build a belief system that things were going to be different. And they're not. So now we are angry, but nobody is pouring poison down our throats.
Yes.
We have.
Yeah, we either let them, we're it's always us. It's always we're allowing it. That's the accountability piece. I like what Gail said. Gail said, rather than get past the venom, sit with your reaction and see the inner child's pain. True enough, you know, it is stuff that is, I mean, a lot of that stuff really does come from deep down within us from when we were younger. They're wounds, you know. But that was the whole point of this year. We don't need to focus on what we're still working on and remind ourselves what we worked on. What we need to just say here is, because we're going to get off the topic because we're talking about gratitude, is be grateful for the moment. Because if you have been doing all this work, and even if you're still not where you feel you want to be, just be grateful for how far you've already come, because I, Gladiator Guru, any one of us might have created a very long path for ourselves because we meandered a little too much, or we stayed still, or we went too slow. So when you finally get up and you start on your path and you're like, God, this is like taking freaking forever. And I always think about what you said, Gladiator Guru, when you were talking about when you were on the Camino and you were coming up over a hill and you're going, okay, as soon as we get over the hill, it's downhill and we're going to be at like the next place. And then you get over to the top and then you see where you're going. And it's like,
it's not that.
There's nothing. It's like,
oh
my God, I thought this was the last piece. And it's that moment where you're at that precipice where you're looking at that going, fuck, like, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, and you're like frustrated and sad and mad and all this stuff. But then you also say, well, I can't go back. It's like, if I go back, it's just going to take me just as long. So the only thing I can keep doing is accept it and go forward and know that I will get through this. So when we finally get to that point where we're like, oh, I'm doing this now, I'm moving forward, I'm feeling good about myself, and you get past that little hump and you realize that you still don't see any end in sight, this is the moment where you have to own it, especially. And you say, I'm very grateful for this journey, because this is going to prove to me that I am stronger and more resilient than I give myself credit for. And even though I don't see any end in sight, there must be so many amazing things that I'm going to learn along this journey. And that's where certain books are really fabulous to read. Like you love The Alchemist. That's the reason you read The Alchemist. That's the reason you read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's the reason you read those books, is the journey. It's about the journey and then what you come out with in the end.
It's easy. Evelyn says letting go gives us freedom. And let me tell you, we sit here and I saw something the other day. It was a meme about Sagittarius, and I'm a true Sagittarius. And the cat was looking down saying, get up, nobody's gonna save you except for yourself, or something like that. And how we talk it, and I cracked up because that's how we are. And listen, we all have a journey. She said The Alchemist. The Alchemist is my favorite book. Every time I go to a thrift shop, I buy whatever ones I see, I clean them up, I reread them, and then I save them. And when I meet someone, I give it to them, because I think everybody should read that book. Now, letting go is not easy for many of us because we don't understand the concept, because we haven't healed, as Gail mentioned, that inner child. When that inner child is healed enough to say, it doesn't matter whom I trust outside of me, as long as I trust myself, then you can learn how to let go. When you can be 50, 60 years old, it doesn't mean you're there yet. Sometimes we need to listen to what we talk about here, the other podcasts, the books we read, the authors we meet. And then it's like that seed that you plant. Maybe you didn't plant it in such great soil, so it's taking a little longer to grow. But when it grows, do not criticize or abuse, bully yourself for not learning sooner. Bask in the moment that you finally got it. So take notes on your life and every step you take, because every step we take is very important for our growth. Some learn it quicker than others. It doesn't mean you're not as smart as they are. It just means your journey has taken a different path. But
Yes.
Stay focused, stay centered, own your now, be present in what it is you have right in front of you with peripheral visions. And it might sound like it's hard, but it really is not. It's just being aware of you and your surroundings.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. All right. So, all right. So do you want to still do the mantra? I mean, we are we're at the 8:30 mark. So let's do the mantra and we'll do the
It's never too late.
Okay, so let's set our intention. So as always on Viva, we want you to go throughout your day and be intentional, have a purpose, whatever that intention or purpose is. You can make it a deep one. You can make it a lighthearted one. You might say that your intention today is just to have fun, have a good time, laugh a lot. How about that? What a great intention that is. It could be one and it could be more than one, but always make sure that you back it up with
gratitude.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Be grateful. Absolutely.
And gratitude, people are like, oh, I'm always grateful, but are you? I mean, that's a whole other subject, but let me just tell you, when you're grateful, it's being grateful for the pain you're feeling, because the pain just reminds you that you're alive. And many of us avoid feeling the pain, create these facades, these fantasies in our brain that they're going to get better, that they do love us, that they're going to change, not to face the pain of reality that we are somewhere we have no business being any longer.
Yes.
Okay. And Rumi, one of my favorite philosophers, says the cure for the pain is in the pain.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite quotes. So be grateful if you stubbed your toe. Be grateful if you just heard a truth that you have known for a very long time, but have avoided, and then it's everybody else's fault. Be grateful that now you can't hide from it. Sometimes we need that friend that's going to be like, look, this is what's happening. And you're going to be like, no, I'm going to ask. And so be grateful. Be intentional. Whatever you set out to do, I don't care what it is. But be grateful in it.
Yes. And let's do our mantra, and you're going to say it loud and say it proud. I am a disruptor.
I am a disruptor.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am magically orgasmic.
Ole.
And I keep it real.
All day, no doubt.
So this is the last week of Gratitude Week. And then we, like I had said earlier, we have such a phenomenal, powerful 3 months ahead. The next 3 months, it's all about reviewing what we did the entire year and really just pumping it out there. So today we're talking about where are you, and what that means with regards to gratitude. We're talking about with everything in your life, what is it that you're grateful for? Where are you in that place? Where do you feel that you are in that place? What are you grateful for? And again, just owning it, saying, okay, this is where I am right now. This is where I am. And this is where I am, the direction that I'm going. And and where does gratitude play its role in that with you?
You know, Evelyn said letting go gives us freedom. Evelyn, you asked me a direct question, Badass?
I don't think I asked a question.
Oh. Let me tell you, we sat down and we created all these shows until the end of the year, and we laughed and we shuffled some around, and we had so much fun because it was easy. That word easy, it's like, but it was really just like a spiritual guidance, wouldn't you say, Badass? Like it flowed. We're like, okay, this is what we talked about. This is what we need to talk about. We came up with the titles. Badass like, well, why don't we shift this one to this one, to that one, to this one, and everything came in. Why? We didn't second guess ourselves. We allowed the energy really to pick and choose how everything goes. Because when it's not forced, then it permeates. You know, it's like putting the topical lotions on and it seeps through. We have to go along with it, not fight against it. And that's what we did, making up all these shows. What that would make sense and that would be absorbed with desires to want to be absorbed with ease and with all of that. And Evelyn said letting go gives us freedom. And I hope I didn't answer that wrong, because I truly believe we do have to let go. It's just, when do we let go? It's like, who gets VIP seating in your life and who needs to be placed by the ushers, ordered by you, into the nosebleed section. That's how we live our lives. That's when we are fully aware of who we are, and then we can meet people where they are and place them where they belong.
Yep. Yep. So this one, where are you? This is where we really want you to, we really want you to look at how gratitude really plays a role in your everyday life. You know, when Gladiator Guru said, did the Rumi quote and said, the pain is in the pain, the what'd you say?
The cure for the pain.
The cure for the pain is in the pain. And this is funny because so the last couple of days I have not been eating right. I normally eat a very specific way and had been very, very strict to it for like 4 months straight. And I got to tell you, I felt fantastic. And then whenever I would eat one little thing, I always felt lousy. But the last couple of days I have been allowing myself to eat stuff that I normally don't eat, And this morning I was doing something and I bent down and I had some pain in my back, my low back. And I laughed because I said, because I'm so aware, I said, this is your fault. You have the pain in your back because you've been eating so lousy. And the last couple of days, because it's been so dark and dreary out. I mean, I love the rain, and I know Gladiator Guru loves the rain. I love it too, but I can only handle it for so long, and then it makes me tired. I've been very tired. So knowing that I have so much to do, and then being tired is like it's frustrating me, and because I feel like I'm not getting anything accomplished. But then that's also me. It's on me. It's not the weather's fault that I'm not getting anything accomplished. It's me. So the last 2 days, I've eaten things that I shouldn't have, wasn't as physically active. And then all of a sudden, I wake up this morning and I'm moving around and I see my back hurts. And I said to myself, okay, you know what? Your back's hurting because you have not been taking care of yourself the way you're supposed to. So I said, I'm grateful for this reminder, because if I choose to stay on this path of eating this way and not moving around enough, this is just going to get worse and worse and worse. And I am to blame for this. So I am very grateful for the pain, because it's just telling me, wake up and be aware of this and do something about it. And so today I'm going to make sure that I am very, very aware of what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, what I'm not drinking, and then moving around so much so that that this isn't going to be an issue. So tomorrow I have an expectation of feeling better. And if I don't feel better, then it's another reminder to say, you've let this go for a couple of days now, more than probably a couple of days. So it's going to take some time to reverse this. But it's to be grateful about this. We get uncomfortable sometimes when we're reminded of poor choices that we have made, things that we did or did not do. But you have to be grateful for that moment to say, yes, I'm being reminded of this. I am uncomfortable about this. But the real question is, what am I going to do about it? So I'm grateful to have this moment of awareness and clarity. Now, the next question is, what am I going to do about it? So I'm grateful for that. What we choose to do after that is on us. We could still just give every excuse in the book and just keep going in the way that we're going. Or we could say, okay, no more, no mas. And I'm going to either start right at this moment of awareness, or it's at the end of my day, I'm going to go to sleep, and then first thing in the morning, I'm going to start.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Earlier you said about being triggered about something you haven't let go. Yes. And then now you're talking about the food and how it affected you and how you took the time and you thought about it and this is what you need to do. Now, did you handle both in the same situation, the same manner? Were the importance given to understand both?
Yeah, I think so. They weren't at the same time,
Mm-hmm. I know.
I think the awareness piece, like with the pain, was more in the moment. Like in the moment, oh, okay, I'm aware of this, and this is what I need to do about it. Whereas the trigger, because there's so much emotion connected to it, you have to almost get triggered, and you have to sort of ride through the emotion, and it takes a little bit longer. So the awareness can be there, but sometimes you're not willing to let go of it. Like You could be aware that you're being triggered. You could be aware that it's something that you didn't work on and you need to still work on. But you get into this little, I usually use this term when I'm talking to my weight loss clients, is the bratty child stage. It's the bratty child that stomps their feet and says, no, I'm not going to do it, and blah, blah, blah. And that's where it takes a little bit longer to move through that, at least I think. Did that answer your question? Hey, Liza's on. I must have made her feel
good. Well, yeah, it was because sometimes hello, Liza and Madeline Hernandez Lopez. Yep, Buenos. Because sometimes to identify, like, because they're different, right? One's about emotions and emotional attachment to a person. That's the trigger. You thought things changed. You thought they couldn't get better. You thought you were over it, whatever the reason may have been. But some behavior from that person that you still have a soul tie to caused you to trigger. And then you talked about food and how you quickly identified it because of the signs and the backache and the bloatness and whatever. And you knew you stepped outside of your own boundary by eating something you should not have while being on this program. Right. So that was you like absorbed what you were doing wrong and how to correct it with the food, because how it made your body feel and how it's going to make your body look going forward. So I think it's just people would need, there's different triggers, mi gente, and there's different discomforts. But where are you in that moment? Like the badass Buddha, this was in the moment and this was this. So as long as you know how to shuffle your board game and come back to what you need to come back to when you're less emotional about it or when you're less hungry. And I think that's how you go about discovering where you are.
Yeah.
Because where you are, you cannot handle all the happenings that are taking place in that moment. Be aware that is something you're going to have to make a U-turn on later down the road, because right now you're not mentally, emotionally, or spiritually able to take care of this without some type of attachment that might just lose the grasp, right? So the one that she can deal with in that moment, she took control over. That's where you got to identify, where are you? Where are you in the moments of happenings? And can you shelf it for that time until you know that you got to handle A, B before you come back to C? Because sometimes the alphabet gets a little like Scrabble, right? So where you are is saying, okay, I know in this moment, I cannot confront nor handle this issue. So I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to really do the ones that I can that are also as important. And then I'm going to come back when I'm empty, when I have purged the A and B, so that it leaves space for me to handle C. So you have to identify, where are you? And can you give us a little back talk on that, Buddha?
About where I am?
No, not you personally. Just like that. Can you back up at anything like what I was saying? Do you have a?
Well, yeah. I mean, again, this is it's the gratitude piece. The gratitude part. The role that the gratitude piece plays here is that when it's not easy to admit to yourself things that still need to be worked on. It's not easy to go back and review the poor choices that you've made. And you can't go back and change them. That's just it. It's like, we don't want you to sit there in it. The whole point of all of this whole year was for you to understand self, because who you are today is a direct result of your past. That's the only reason we ever go to the past, is to just acknowledge what happened and sort of work through it, and then say, okay, well, what changes do I need to make today so that my tomorrow I am a different person? Because you cannot expect to be a different person tomorrow if you don't start being a different person today. So if you don't like the person you were yesterday, or if you don't like the person you are today, unless you change today, you will be doing the same thing again tomorrow. It's that expression. It's the path, the path to insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So it is acknowledging everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, not beating yourself up about it, but being grateful in this moment, saying, I'm grateful that I have the strength within me to acknowledge this. I'm grateful that my eyes are now wide open. I'm grateful that I have the ability to gain insight and information to change my life and make myself a better person. And that's where I am right now. Where I am right now is that I cannot go back and change things and do them differently. All I can do is learn from them. So I'm grateful that I experienced those things. And I'm grateful that from this point going forward, I'm going to do things differently and I'm going to make the necessary changes. Period. That's it. So where are you? Is you're in a heightened state of awareness of surroundings and awareness of self, and holding that in place with gratitude, being grateful for this moment in time, and then asking yourself the pertinent questions. Where do I go now? What choices shall I make today that will put me into the direction that I choose to go? But you also have to have that plan. So be grateful for taking the time to also identify the plan, where I want to go, what do I want to do, as opposed to being planless. There's something to be said about flying by the seat of your pants. There's nothing wrong with spontaneity, but there's also nothing wrong with planning. And in fact, it's a nice combination of both. You don't want to plan too much because then you don't leave room for the unexpected and then you get stressed out. You also don't want to fly by the seat of your pants 100% because then when something needs to happen, you're not ready to do it. So it's a nice combination of it. It's like, you can't build a great building unless you have a really good blueprint. So you can't just fly by the seat of your pants and say, well, I'm going to throw this here and throw this there. But it's about your blueprint. And then gratitude plays a role in that blueprint that you're creating for yourself.
Absolutely. And that I was going to go back to that where Gail says the danger of going to the past is that you anchor in the pain rather than heal. Witness the past like a reporter and let the energy stay where it was first created. And that's what the Badass Buddha and I have been mentioning a couple shows now, where emotions, they come to you to go through you. And sometimes they stay as a memory. When my mother passed away and I wrote something, I wrote how I forgive you for the good times that we had and I forgot. And I forgive myself for the many bad times that indeed we had, yet I remembered. And sometimes you need to really just close up and go in and face yourself. And you know what? Face yourself knowing that you only went to speak your part, speak your piece, and walk away. And you can do that with your past. Why do we stay anchored? Why do we feel like, oh my God, and want to relive all that bullshit? Like, what are we doing to ourselves? And that's where you got to ask yourself, am I a victor or am I a victim? Do I like
Yes.
the city to go back and open the wounds and then come back and be all like, oh, depressed and all that? Ask yourself, where do you want to be? Fuck anybody else of where they see you. Okay? Be grateful that you are still alive today, because I know we've all been through very difficult past, very difficult childhoods, very difficult, painful upbringings, very difficult, oh, he's my first love, he'll never do anything, and then the betrayal was bigger than anything you'll ever see in your life. But you're still alive, and you're still breathing, and you're still getting up to walk and sit on the toilet and wipe your own ass.
Yeah, I'm grateful.
That is being very, very wealthy. Trust me. Having a paralyzed husband that all he wanted to do was walk to the mailbox and collect his mail, not go out, not go dancing, not go play basketball that he was good at, none of that. But the simple thing of walking out the front door to the edge of the sidewalk to the mailbox. And you know what that taught me? We ask for too much because sometimes we know it's out of our reach. So we'll say, but I did dream. It's not my fault I couldn't reach it. So don't come to me with all these fake dreams if you don't want me to say, and don't go into the mirror saying, well, I tried, but did you really? Should be the question. Because where are you means where, exactly what the badass Buddha just said. Make it so that you can achieve it. You got to plan. I'm not a big planner. God, I tried. I really did. I bought like the 7-day containers for the meal prep. I bought this. I bought hangers to really keep everything organized. That I tried in every part of my life. I do. And it works, like, the initial planning, because at least I know that although I didn't put it where it belongs, it's there. But I'm more spontaneous, but I'm not so much as impulsive as I used to be. But I love spontaneity. It's like
but keep something in mind. You plan. See, you know yourself though. See, here's the difference. You plan, but you don't plan in a way that other people may plan. Like you are planning to go to the Camino. You set it in your mind of when you want to go, how long you want to be there. That's planning. Now you also leave a little bit open for it can move around because there's fluidity to it, because there's certain things that still have to line up to create that plan, to put that plan.
Remember.
So it's about see, this is the difference. It's like you plan, but your part of your plan is to be fluid. And then there's other people that plan a little bit more rigidly. The goal though is again, this is all about knowing thyself and owning it, and then deciding this works or this doesn't work. One thing I learned about myself is I emphatically hated planning. And the irony is that Gladiator Guru only knows me as more of a planning type of person. But years ago, I was not that person. I was very not a planner. I was a fly by the seat of my pants, and it doesn't work for me. Like I have to have something. And I love the idea of the fluidity. It's like, okay, this is the plan. However, this is part of the plan. And if without this, I can't finish this part of the plan. So I have to be able to move around in between if this isn't going in the way that it's supposed to go. So you can't just say, this is the way it is. And then, oh my God, it's not happening. So now I'm stressing out. Now I'm going to push things. It's okay. This didn't happen for this to happen. So I'm in the middle right now and I'm riding that limbo. What am I going to do about it? That is knowing thyself, knowing how to work it, and then being grateful for the moment. What did I learn about this? What did I learn about the stuff that didn't work? What did I learn about making the plan? It's to say, okay, can I do something a little different the next time? And that's the beauty of it. It's being in that space to say, I'm grateful for having learned this. And inevitably, the next time you do it, you get better, And so, for instance, it says, where was it? Gail said this. She says, grateful that you are wise enough to change. I love that. That's a beautiful thing to be grateful for, that you're wise enough to change. How many people do you know are so stuck? They're so hell-bent, like they will not budge on anything. It's this way or that way, and that's it. And they have limited themselves. And it's not for us to judge them and say, well, look at them, they limited themselves. It's us to look at it and say, is that a path that I want? Or is that a path that I don't want? And then learn from that. And then Gail says, I love to plan and then I let the plan go, allowing flow to settle in. That's exactly how Gladiator Guru is. Mm-hmm. And that's how I've learned to become. I had to go from no plan to a ridiculous plan to that state of flow. And since I've been in that state of flow, it's been so much nicer. It's more fun and enjoyable.
It is. Listen, I had this plan according to how I perceive dates and times. And that's really not my nature. But this time I said, let me do this so I can do it right. And then I said, okay, and then I'll leave for Europe and I'm going to be there 90 days. And this time, from this time to this time. Well, guess what? It's almost a month and a half pushed back. And it's same weather in Spain as it is in Connecticut. The seasons are identical. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And I'm figuring, I'm letting it flow because I will get there. And I believe in maktub. And if you read The Alchemist, you'll understand what that word is. It means it is written. So when things like Friday, everything was woo, and I just said, Father God, please. I'm feeling angry and I want to be angry, but I'm trusting. I'm trusting in this process. And I didn't get all twisted up like a salty pretzel because I believed. So don't be so rigid with yourself. Loosen up. You got to loosen up. You got to learn how to sway with the wind. You know, you got to like, and what we were saying before, either you do the Wonder Woman or you do the shift and flow act, whatever suits you. Do it. Because not everybody is going to handle anything the same way. I can tell you how I did. The badass Buddha can tell you how she did. We're different. We're women. We all have the same dream and the same ambition to be, you know, self-reliant, is financially safe with the freedoms to do that. She has little children. I don't. So, I mean, those parts are different, but the passion and the purpose can be flowed together. So when you do this, you know, we got to understand that life is going to happen to you. So put your big girl panties on, roll up your sleeves, and let's go to work according to your purpose. And I think that's how we figure it out. I can't do what Gail does. I can't do what the badass Buddha does because it's not in my spirit.
That's right.
And I'm not a follower. I'd rather stay behind and eat the end part of the bread than to be following the masses. Because the M is always silent, mi gente.
I like the
You got to do what's right for you. You got to understand who the hell you are, where you're standing, what it is you want out of life, your peripheral vision. If you got children, of course, they're in that. But first, you have to honor yourself. You got to honor yourself enough to know that you are that warrior who is in this difficult situation right now. And you're going to say, where am I? What ammunition do I need to get out of this? Because I got to get out of this. I got to be on the other side of this. And it can be prayer, it can be meditation, it could be sitting in a corner in silence, in peace. It could be however it is you are going to deal with it. And then you go for it. Because where are you is not where you will always be. But ultimately, badass Buddha, back me up. Ultimately, the choice is yours. It is not my fault, nor is it your fault. What I'm going through, what you're going through. What we got to do is understand one another and say, you know what? Badass Buddha said this. Gladiator Guru said this. Denise Diaz, bienvenida from the East Coast, West Coast. When you're doing all of this, take into consideration what you read, heard, and spoke with somebody. But ultimately, where are you? Because we don't always tell everybody our deep, dark secrets. The really deep, scarred pain, the pain we've caused other people with our actions, our shameful gestures that we have done in our past that we want to keep dug down deep. When you can face all of that and bring it out and say, yeah, I did that. What? We were having there was an uncomfortable conversation happening one day. Somebody was talking about abortions. Oh, and who could do that? And that's murder. Everybody was against it. I said, I have one. And they looked at me like, what? I said, I had one. Because who are you to judge me when you don't know my story? You don't know where I was at that time. And I'm not going to cover it with the sun, because if I put it out there, there's nothing you can do to harm me with my past, because I'm already suffering through it. And if I have to suffer through something, you will not have the ammunition to add more pain to whatever it is I'm going through. Why? Because if I did something, then I let go of the shame, I let go of the guilt, I accepted it as that time in my life, in that moment. It is what it is. You like it, fine. You don't, I don't give a fuck. And when you go through your life saying that, I can stand up and face in the mirror what I have done. You cannot harm me. And that's where I am in my life in this moment. Because this is how I've always lived my life.
Nice.
Hola, prima. Chanel Real Deal came on.
And I want to note what Madeline said. So Madeline said, I read it in different times of my life and it hit differently every time I read it. I'm assuming you're talking about The Alchemist.
Yes.
This led me on my now journey, knowing that life's fluidity is beautiful, even when we don't see that beauty in the moment. And again, that's the gratitude piece. You know, we are here at any given time. And if, as long as we open our minds and our hearts up to, and our spirit to take the information in. And I love that because, you know, with The Alchemist, it's the truth. It's with anything that you have read. If you read it at different times in your life, you will, or even a movie, you watch it, you will see things differently. You'll understand things differently. You'll read passages that you'll swear never existed in that book before.
Yes.
Or I've watched movies where I've swear that scene never occurred. Yeah, they're like, this must be a different edit to the scene, you know, because you can only receive what you're able to receive. It's like that's why sometimes you ever receiving information, you're learning something, you're excited about learning it, but there's so much coming in that you almost get overwhelmed, and you do get overwhelmed, and you say, oh my God, I can't take any more in. I can't receive any more information, because you have to sit with it. Then you go back to your notes or you listen to the recording and you're like, oh my God, I missed that whole section because I couldn't bring it in anymore. Like there could be no more coming in. So this is the beauty of it. And this is when you become aware. So that is an awareness. So Madeline is aware that she noticed this part. V, stop. Yes. So this is the beauty of it. That's why it's great to read these things over. It's great to watch these things over. And then once you're aware of it, you say to yourself, wow, like, how have I've changed? Like, this is very interesting. I'm taking this from a different perspective. I want to share one more story and then I'll stop talking. So glad you grew could jump in. But my dad, years ago, when my parents had gone to Italy, this was like maybe when I was in college. So it was quite some time ago. So we were talking like 30 years ago, whatever. And I remember when they got back, my dad was sharing a story with me. And he said, he was talking about all the the sculptures, you know, the fountains and the sculptures, but he was talking specific. He started talking about specifically Michelangelo's David, and he goes, "Did you know that he made multiple Davids?" And I said, "No, I didn't." And he goes, "Not only did he make multiple Davids over the years, multiple Davids, but he made them over the years." He's like, so when you look at one David, you could see that he was this age when he made that one. And then when he got a little older, he made it. He goes, and each David was slightly different because of what he had learned and what he had experienced and his insight.
Wow.
So he was so excited to share this with me. And it must have been wherever the tour that they were on and the person was saying them, you know, to point that out. Now, if somebody did not say that, people might have just looked at it and said, oh, that's another David. Oh, he made that David. Oh, he made that David. But then the moment somebody points it out, it makes you aware, and then you decide what to do with that information. Some people will still walk away and go, big deal. He made Davids over the years and they're a little different. But my dad, it hit him. It struck him. And that memory always stuck with me, because that's a prime example of when we grow and when we go through life and we experience things, we are forever changed, even if we won't admit it to ourselves. We are changed. And then it's what we do with that information. So change happens. We have to decide if the change is going to be a part of us and that we're going to take that information in. And I think that's what happens over the years is you meet those people that have never changed. And it's not that life changed around them, but they chose not to change. That was their choice. And they chose to stay in that manner for whatever their reason. But it doesn't matter what their reason is. What matters is what we choose to do with our own life.
Oh, I love that. I really do. Because that is, in a nutshell, exactly. When we go through life, we are different. So when we go back to correct something in our mind, to have it click, because we can't change the past. You can't unring a bell, but you can be aware of it and then do things differently. Because sometimes this yesterday is latched down like the ball and chain to our legs in our today. So we always feel it's always harder to move on because we haven't let it go. And I think what you just said, it was beautiful. And the David, I want to read up on that because, yeah, did his penis grow at any change of statue though?
That I don't know. He didn't mention that, which I'm shocked because knowing my father, he would have, but I don't recall him saying that.
Gail,
I like what Madeline wrote. I love Madeline Wright that wrote, "I'm learning grace." And that is, I love that word. I love that word. Is to me, what just saying the word grace is so peaceful. And it is, because graciousness is definitely it's an accepting trait. It's when you walk through your life being going with grace, it's like you let people be who they are. You don't have to agree with them. There's a misconception that grace is like you just let everybody walk all over. That's not it. It's just you're letting people be who they are. Not that you need to let anybody, because that's kind of a bad term. It's just you're accepting that this is who you are. And it's a powerful thing because it takes a lot of self-growth. It takes a lot of personal development, self-awareness, letting go of your shit to get to that level where you just accept people for where they are. It is a very mindful thing to do. And the knowledge is to say, but also be so gracious to yourself. Be so self-aware and say, this is where I am. You have no right to tell me who I need to be, just as I have no right to tell you who you need to be. And if we cannot agree, because I don't choose to be around you, you don't want to be around me, that's fine. Then we graciously accept that and move in separate directions, or move, not coexist. And that's also gratitude comes in, to know all of this, that you're grateful that you have, again, that insight, that you have that graciousness about you.
And thank you, because that is beautiful. PP was small and the article that I wrote is feed your spirit kindness and gratitude because it equals grace. When you carry that kindness in your heart and you're taking every step in gratitude, that's walking in grace. And I'm going to hear it again. But, you said something too that's important that we got to remember. It's important that you keep you're very alert in when you're in that grace and not, allowing people to control you, nor you putting so many expectations on them, is that you meet people exactly where they are. And then you will know where to place them in your life. People will be who they are. And if you, by any chance, must interact with them, whether it's family, your own damn kids, because they can be annoying as hell sometimes too. So you meet them where they are, right? And then it is your job to place them where they belong in your life. No complaints, no vindictiveness, no cutting them off and building your wall this high. It simply is they are who they are. What do they signify in your life? You might not be able to cut them off. Okay, so they are who they are. This is what they're doing with their lives. I can't change it. So where will they be? Where do I place them in my life? monthly visits. Maybe they're the people I see once a year. Maybe we speak on the phone every 3 months. That's your responsibility. If they abuse your kindness, is it their fault really that they're just taking what is readily available for them? No, it's who we are, the priorities we set, the boundaries we create, the love that we harvest within. When we can do that and stand on our own 2 feet, guess what? That's grace, because you're still being kind. You're being grateful for the person you are and for those that present themselves, because the good, the bad, and the ugly still teach a lesson. They're all very valuable. So I think with that, where are you? Go seek, go find, go on. And what are those journeys? Those treasure hunts to your soul. Stop playing other people's games. Create a board game that goes within you. That's where the real reward is. That's where you hit the jackpot. So what are you waiting for? The badass can't take you there. I sure as hell ain't gonna lead the way. I'm awful with direction. I'm always lost. But in me being lost, which I'm being honest, I can be lost. And then I'm like, oh my God, look at how beautiful this is. It really doesn't feel like a loss to me. But whoever I'm with is highly upset because we're getting somewhere late now. But in my defense, I always find beauty in wherever I'm at and what it is I'm seeing. And that's being grateful.
Well, and so I have so much activity happening at this house. I keep getting interrupted. But anyway, I want to say thanks to everybody for coming on. So one more day and then we're done with the gratitude month. So we will, on Thursday, we will be talking about miracles, magic, and me, meaning you. So, and yeah, all of us. All right. So from the badass Buddha, I almost said you. Thanks for being here. Have a great week. We'll see you Thursday. And remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
Yes, see you Thursday. And remember to breathe in the beauty and breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.
Namaste.